Welcome back to another episode of The John, your daily sports dump, where we plunge into the sports world. We are a sports pipeline for breaking news, game recaps, and the hottest takes in the sports industry. So by taking care of business, let us trust out the details and fill in on what's happening. So take a seat, get comfortable, and make sure you have plenty of TP. It's time to explode the commode. I'm your host, John, and today, guys, I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts and reactions to what I think is going to happen in the college football playoff bracket. It starts tonight. We got a great game tonight. And I'm going to go through it, tell you guys what I think and who I think is going to win. But the first thing that I want to talk about before I get into all of this is obviously the Heisman voting was finished and it wrapped up. Fernando Mendoza won, Diego Pavia 2. And obviously you guys know how I felt. I thought Diego Pavia was the Heisman winner, and I'll put up the picture again if you want me to. Fernando Mendoza, even though, and this is my issue with all of these personal achievement awards in college basketball, not really in college basketball as much as college football, in the NFL, NBA, MLB, all NHL, all of the national, the MVP awards, all of those type of awards have been given to players who, right, they're good. I'm not saying Mendoza is a bad player by any means, but was he better than Diego Pavia? Did he change the entire school football program? Everything about Vanderbilt is Diego Pavia. Diego Pavia has 4,000 total yards. Fernando Mendoza has just 2,000, or almost 3,000. Diego Pavia turned the program around, and arguably they could have been in the playoff. There's a legitimate argument for them. If you put a 3-loss Bama team in there, how do you not put a 2-loss Vanderbilt in there, who lost? Like, I don't understand that, but what I was getting at, I don't understand how Fernando Mendoza wins the award, right? I understand after Diego Pavia was not professional, everything that he did, coming with, right, shooting at the voters, saying F Indiana, all that stuff, was not a good look for him. And I think that, right, you can also take that into effect. He's an immature dude. Even though he's been in college for 6 years, he's immature. I say he's confident, some say he's cocky. I see how he can come off as cocky. That after the loss of the Heisman was not a great look for him. But I think he was the best player in the country, and just because he wasn't on the best team and the best player on that team, he didn't win the award. That's the issue with it, right? You put Julian Sain in this. Julian Sain's been amazing this year. He got barely any first-place votes, and that's because he wasn't on the best team. He was on Ohio State, right? Jacob Rodriguez is not on the best team, but he's the best player on his team. He got more first-place votes than Julian Sain. He didn't even finish in the top 4. He wasn't a finalist. Julian Love, another dude. They're not even in the playoffs, and he was a finalist. And he's, right, a lot to say. I'll say it as well. I think this is one of the weaker Heisman classes, but that doesn't mean you give it to the dude who statistically is behind everybody else who's at his position in this award. He was behind Sain. He was behind Pavia. And if you compared his stats to, I think, the past, I want to say 10 Heisman winners. I don't know the exact picture, but I'll throw it up. It's not good. And right, you can say you can take in the big wins that he's gotten, sure, but he's not as good as Diego Pavia was. Now, do I think him and Pavia are going to be good in the NFL? I think they're both going to be mediocre quarterbacks. I don't think Mendoza's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL, and I can completely be wrong about this, and if I am, please hold me accountable. But I do not think that Fernando Mendoza is going to be a great NFL quarterback. I just don't. But that was my little rant on the Heisman. I didn't really give you guys a Heisman reaction, so I wanted to. But now we'll talk about this bracket. I want to start with the game tonight. Bama versus Oklahoma. I feel like this has Oklahoma winning all over it. They beat Bama at Bama earlier this year. Oklahoma's defense gets better and better by the game, by the quarter, by the second. Alabama shouldn't have been in there, or if they were, they should have been Miami. They should not be the 9 seed. They had 3 losses, and right, I can understand you're not penalizing a team for losing the championship, but by how badly Alabama lost, they should have been penalized, and this game will be a big, I think, sort of showing game, right? Last year with SMU lost in the championship, in the ACC championship. Then they got beat pretty bad by Penn State. Now, they basically did the same thing with Bama. Bama lost in the conference championship game. They didn't lose bad, like SMU lost on the last second, but Bama got beat bad and now they're playing Oklahoma, who beat them already earlier in this year. So I think this shows a lot. I think also, if they lose, there's a big talk Kalen DeBoer leaves for Michigan. I really believe that. I think if you're at Alabama, you have to be in national title contenders. And even if they win this game, I don't think anybody's picking them over Indiana. I really don't. I think Oklahoma wins this one, and I think it's a low-scoring game, but I think that's right in Oklahoma's wheelhouse. And I think Oklahoma makes it to the next round and gives Indiana a challenge, but I'll talk about that one once I get back to it. Next, we got Oregon versus JMU. Love JMU, love the Dukes, but I don't think you can beat Oregon at Autzen. I don't see it. Texas A&M, Miami. This one might shock you guys. I think Miami's winning. I think Miami's shocking the world. I think they're beating Texas A&M at Kyle Field. I think Carson Beck is legit. This Mario Cristobal team has a fire lit under them. They're the last team that got in. People are counting them out, saying Notre Dame should have been over them, right? Texas should have been over them. They're going into this game. Mario Cristobal took this job at Miami and wanted to make them into old school physical Miami, and he's done a great job of that. They have one of the best O-lines, one of the best D-lines in the country. They're going up against Texas A&M, who arguably has the best D-line in the SEC. So this is a great game that we battle in the trenches, but I really think Miami's going to win, and I think it's going to be close, right? I think it's just having a seasoned quarterback. I think if it was Alabama or Dante Moore or Trinidad Chambers in Texas A&M, that's a completely different environment. But for Carson Beck, someone who's been in the SEC, who's dealt with this kind of environment before, I don't think it fazed him, and I think Miami takes the win over Texas A&M. Finally, of these last 4 games, we got Tulane versus Mississippi. Ole Miss, Ole Miss beat them pretty bad earlier in the year, and I think that's going to happen again. I don't think any of the Group of 5 teams make it far this year. I think they get beat pretty bad. But now we'll talk about, we're in the quarterfinals now. I wouldn't be shocked if Indiana, I'm not an Indiana big guy. You guys know this. I wouldn't be shocked if Oklahoma gives Indiana a run for their money. Their defense is very similar. They both have really good defenses. And Indiana just played a really physical, low-scoring game against Ohio State. I wouldn't be shocked if they beat Oklahoma or if Oklahoma beats them. It's a 3-point game. I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think Indiana squeaks out just because they have a little more talent. But this game, if Oklahoma wins tonight and they will play Indiana, I wouldn't be shocked. That game's going to be a close one. I would definitely watch out for that. Then Texas Tech, Oregon. I'm going to take Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech is just that good. Jacob Rodriguez is that good. Their offense is moving on all cylinders. And the big thing with me is their defensive line. Their defensive line was one of the best in the country. You saw in that Big 12 championship game the amount of pressure they're able to put there on Rocco Becht and Iowa State. They're really able to make his life hell back there. And I think they're going to do the exact same thing with Dante Moore. I think they're going to be able to contain him. And then this offense makes the plays when they need them to and gets the job done. I think they move on to the semifinals and play Indiana. Then UGA Ole Miss. I'm going to say something that might shock you guys. I think Ole Miss beats Georgia. I think Trinidad Chambers is legit. I think if he played the whole season, he would have been the Heisman winner. And I think that this Ole Miss team's got a fire lit under them, especially after Lane Kiffin left them and all that drama that happened off the field this year. I think they have a fire lit under them. I think they beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, advance to the college football semifinals, and play the winner of Miami OSU. And this one, guys, when I was thinking about this script to this podcast and writing about it, I was tossing and turning. I didn't know who to pick because I think that in a neutral site game, Miami can really, really challenge Ohio State. I really believe that. I just don't think they have the talent. Ohio State is one of the best teams in the country. They're built. Guys, their whole team is going to be arguably in the NFL at one point or another. And Caleb Downs is legit. Julian Sain's legit. They have Carnell Tate and Marvin Harrison Jr. They have Bo Jackson, who's one of my favorite freshmen. He suits the name. He runs through people. He's one of the best running backs in the country. And I think they beat Miami I think it's very similar to the Indiana-Oklahoma game. Very low-scoring, close game, but I think OSU beats them and advances to the semifinals to play Ole Miss. And I think Texas Tech beats Indiana in the semifinals, guys. I don't know if that's a crazy thing to say. I'm a big believer in what's going down in Lubbock. I think they are getting the NIL money. They're getting the defense. You get a guy like Jacob Rodriguez who can transform your program, kind of like with what we've seen guys like Johnny Manziel or for Oregon, Marcus Mariota, guys who have transformed your program. I think that's what Jacob Rodriguez is doing for this Texas Tech program. Dylan Raiola is in the portal. He may be going to there. He's been linked to there. I think Texas Tech wins and goes to the national championship. I think Indiana, I'm not a believer in this team. And that might be right. I'm just not a fan of Kurt Cignetti. I'm personally not. And I'm not saying, right, I think the Indiana team is a great team. But I do not think they beat the Texas Tech Red Raiders. I just don't see it happening. And if it does, I'm more than happy and willing to admit that I'm wrong. And in this national championship, I think they face OSU in this national championship. I think that's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth game. I think it's going to be a very physical game. I think that's something that people don't talk about is how physical this Texas Tech team is. They're not afraid to run the ball down your throat, right? Run in between the tackles, fight with you at the D-line. That's something that Texas Tech has really been good at if you've watched any of their games against BYU. That's just something they've been able to really dominate. And they beat a top 10 BYU team twice. And I know I said earlier Iowa State in the Big 12 championship. I meant to say BYU. And I think Ohio State wins it. I think they go back-to-back. And I think their only challenge is if Indiana beats Texas Tech, then I could see Indiana winning. But I don't see Indiana beating Texas Tech. I really don't. I don't think they have the star talent to battle with this Texas Tech. And I think Ohio State brings it back and goes back-to-back in this college football playoff. But, guys, let's have a great weekend of college football, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode of the John Day Sports Center, where we flush out all the nonsense and gave you guys everything sports. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, sports updates and hot takes in real time. Join me next time at John, your Day Sports Center, where we'll be attracting fleas with irresistible sports info. Until then, keep game face on and stay regular. This is the John.
Don't nobody go in the bathroom for about 35, 45 minutes. Somebody open the